Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Pickens Power Half Hour. It is Dragon Talk right here, and we appreciate you guys joining us right here, fyntv.com, on demand, and on our Facebook Live on our Team FYN Sports page. We appreciate you guys being with us right here. For the next half hour, we're going to be talking about the Dragons, and it is a victory week for PHS. That's right, the Dragons with a big win on Friday night over Gilmer. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but first, I want to introduce the cast of characters. As always, RJ Casey, my co-host, with us right here. Head coach Jeff Nelson joining us. And tonight we've got Coach Grant Myers joining us here. And our players in the first segment, we've got Jared Whitmore and we've got Chase Nelson. And we're going to talk to Jared and these guys a little bit. Jared obviously had a big role in the win on Friday night. But 63rd meeting all time, I guess?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Between Gilmer and Pickens on Friday night, man. Yeah. It's one of the oldest rivalries in North Georgia. And Coach, want to bring you in. First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know coming into the night, it was a little bit different Gilmer team than we've seen the last couple of years. They'd won a couple ball games. They were playing with a little bit of confidence coming into the game. Talk about the win on Friday night and the way you guys battled.
Well, we started off with about a 2.5 hour rain delay, and that was kind of tough. Kids were really excited getting out there, and about the time the game was fixing to get started, they sent us back in. So we had about 2.5 hours to sit. And then we had to get hyped up again and get ready to roll. So that's kind of the way things started off. And we knew that just looking at film that Gilmer had, they had a plan defensively and offensively. And I thought offensively they executed real well at times and kind of got us back on our heels a little bit. So.
Sure. Yep. Team FYN Sports and Johnny's New York Style Pizza here in Jasper again proudly present this show. We do thank all the folks from Johnny's Pizza for once again being back on board with us and providing our players and coaches with a pregame meal, and also our Pepsi products tonight on display. RJ went with the Mountain Dew there, and I went with the Dr. Pepper. So again,
I'm all jacked up on it.
You're all jacked up on Mountain Dew, man. That's what we need, man. That's what we need. Coach, I wanted to talk to you about that, and that might have been a question you wanted to ask too. But how do you deal with a 90-minute delay, lightning delay? I mean, obviously we've had a couple of those in different areas of the state over the last couple of weeks. What is the challenge for you guys as coaches when that situation pops up? Obviously, you guys are ready to take the field, send you back to the locker room. I know it's got to be challenging to kind of get the guys refocused and go back out with the same mentality.
Yeah, it was kind of tough because it wasn't just that we were down for 2.5 hours, but we kept getting updates. Okay, we're going to go out in a few minutes. So it was up and down, up and down. So those things are kind of tough. Getting them started, getting them ready to go, going over the game plan, and then kind of having to, kind of decelerate there,
right?
Relax, get off your feet again, and I thought that was a little tough on the kids to get up, get back down, get up, get back down a couple of times during that 2.5 hour period. So that was challenging for the coaches just to keep them focused, number one, and at the same time keep them off their feet and.
Right.
Because they were ready to go and they would come to the door and we'd have to go sit them back down. So it was tough on the coaches to kind of calm the players down a little bit. And,
you guys obviously did a great job, though. Again, team comes out focused, fast start. Again, we're going to talk to Jared down there in just a moment. I had a big night, of course, on Friday night there, but I want to talk to Coach Myers as well. Coach Myers, again, new to the coaching staff here, has done a great job. Coach, talk about your role on Friday night, your group, how you guys were able to focus, especially after that delay like Coach talked about. How were you guys able to get ready going into that game after a delay?
Well, Coach kind of touched on it there as far as it was different than anything we'd experienced up here. The kids were ready to go, especially with it being a rivalry game. Everybody's fired up, ready to go. There was a lot of excitement there on both ends. And then we got to, go back in the locker room, settle them back down, and get back out there. Coaching the defense there, they didn't really do anything that we hadn't worked on and we hadn't expected. We just didn't execute at certain points in the game. If you look at it, they really hurt us with a couple different plays. They hurt us with counterplay, running the ball, and then they hurt us with Coach Wheel throwing the football right there. And those are things that we've repped. But again, when your focus gets kind of shifted a little bit from the delay, that plays a role. And with it being a rivalry game, emotions, intensity, sometimes you lose focus on stuff. But at the end of the day, it's on us to be consistent and come out and execute game plan. So we just got to keep getting better at that.
Absolutely. Again, the Dragons do come up with the big win on Friday night. 35-23 was the final in the ball game there. Again, Jared Whitmore with a huge night, started scoring with a 27-yard touchdown run, and then a little bit later on a 51-yard touchdown run to go along with that. Jared would account for 4 touchdowns basically on the night, 3 on the ground, 1 through the air. And with that, I want to bring in Jared again. I know obviously your stats stand out. We're going to meet some of the bigger hogs up front, later on in the show there. But talk about the play up front, offensive line, what you guys were able to accomplish on Friday night, particularly on offense. I know that you've been one of those guys that we've really talked about. I mean, this is your first appearance on the show this year. I don't know if you've seen the other shows or not, but we've mentioned your name a lot, I guess, right? I mean, you're one of those guys that's definitely stood out. Not to give you the big head or anything, but talk about your play as a whole through the whole season and what you guys have been able to do and what you feel like you bring to this team.
Well, I mean, like, they were very They all every team. So some of those teams got
Absolutely. CJ Stryker, of course, accounted for the other rushing touchdown on the night there, but Jared, again, big effort by this entire Dragon team, of course, as they get to win. And I want to talk a little bit to Chase as well, and then talk about what you brought to the table on Friday night, going into that game. I know it's a rivalry game. You guys have had the upper hand, certainly, in the recent series with Gilmer, but always got to be fun playing a rival, regardless of the circumstances. Talk about the emotional being Friday. And, like the coach was talking about, we're talking about the rain delays, everything from the player standpoint. I mean, how does that affect you guys as far as having to get up and then kind of get back down and then get back up again, and get ready to go? I mean, is it something that's a challenge for you guys as players? Right. Absolutely. It's probably for you too, man, covering the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're getting ready to go and everybody's out there. All of a sudden it's like, everybody off the field. And then you keep watching it lightning every 5 seconds and hearing the thunders. And then coming back down, you got high, ready to go. It's such emotion when you crash down. You got to get ready to start for a game. They did a great job of coming back and getting up in that game.
Absolutely. Well, time now for the Team FYN Sports Writer Player of the Week, and we got RJ in here with us, and I'm going to defer this to you, man.
I picked this guy over here, Jared Whitmore, his second award of the season. And like you said, 4 total touchdowns, 3 on the ground. I think we had around 240 yards rushing on the night. He helped out tremendously running as well as CJ. And then offensive line, making holes for him. Offensive line had a lot of context. Worked out of helping him out. And helped him over every rival.
Jared, what do you have to say about that? It's a team win. That's what it's all about, and that's the one thing I do like about these Dragons, man. They win as a team. They're out there. It's not just about one guy or 2 guys or what have you. It's about this whole team, and Jared's a great team guy. But congratulations, seriously, on a great night there. Coach, I want to come back to you. Obviously, it's Gilmer, and it doesn't matter the records or anything. Obviously, we know it's no secret they've struggled over the last several years. Obviously, a very motivated team coming into this year's game. And, traditionally, at their place, having to go on the road, it's always been said kind of with both teams that they're 2 touchdowns better, it seems like, at their house, especially when they're playing you guys for whatever reason. So even though they were motivated, you guys were able to come in there and do a lot of things well. Being able to run the football the way you did, being able to control the line of scrimmage. Talk about some of the things that you preached to your team, I guess, going into that game on Friday night about things that you wanted to accomplish.
Well, one of the things we talked about was kind of get away from the rivalry, as tough as it is, and just remind the kids that this is first region game and we're playing for the region schedule, not one team, and try to keep it on an even keel and keep the guys just focused on the game, but the bigger prize, get locked into the rivalry, but focus on the big picture. I thought all week it was an entire week of different things that were different or not the norm. We weren't in school. Our JV game was on Monday and all those things. I thought the kids handled the practice. We, as a coaching staff, sat down Thursday and I think to a man, and we said the kids were really focused. We were fired up about how they had practiced, had a great week of practice, and they were excited and ready to go every day. It was not something that the coaches were dragging them down the hill and let's go.
Right.
They were here and ready to go and chomping at the bit. I thought they had a great week of practice. And again, when you play a rivalry, you can take the records and get rid of them because it takes on a whole different perspective from those two teams. You can look at it from high school all the way to the pro game, and you got two teams that really have a little hate for each other and have that great rivalry. Put those scoring, the teams, what they've done in the past, after and I thought that showed itself. Both teams played hard, and I felt like they played real hard. They hit us on a couple of plays that we worked on. That's just a credit to them and credit to the rivalry itself.
The Bobcats again giving the Dragons a game on Friday night, but the Dragons again emerging victorious 35-23 in the football game. And as Coach said, more importantly, it was the opening region game of the year in addition to being a rivalry. So again, Dragons now at 3-2 overall, but more importantly, 1-0 in the region as they get set for Southeast Whitfield this Friday night. We're going to talk about that game after the break. Again, we do want to congratulate Jared once again. Congratulations on being the Team FYN Sports Writer Player of the Week. And Chase, great ball game as well on Friday night. Look forward to seeing a lot more of you out there doing your thing, man. So we appreciate that. Do want to thank all of our Team FYN Sports sponsors again, and make sure that you follow Team FYN Sports on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll talk more about our social mediums a little bit later on in the show as well. We're going to go ahead and take a timeout. When we return, we're going to break down that game this week against Southeast Whitfield and talk some more Dragon talk right here as part of the Pickens Power Half Hour on Team FYN Sports. All right, I want to thank everyone for being with us right here as we get set for segment 2 of the Pickens Power Half Hour. It is Dragon Talk right here on Team FYN Sports. We do want to thank Johnny's New York Style Pizza and Jasper once again for sponsoring our program here and, of course, presenting this show along with Team FYN Sports. And, again, want to thank those guys for feeding all of our players and coaches our Pepsi products here as well. And we've got a lot of things to talk about here over the next couple minutes. Chris Brown, again, with us, is our director, producer in the house tonight. And just off to the camera a little bit, you can't quite see him, but BKP is actually in the building, and he's chomping at the bit.
Being very quiet.
He's being very quiet, but he is chomping at the bit right here to jump in. So hopefully we won't give him a reason to. If we're asking all the right questions, he won't have to jump in. But back here again with head coach Jeff Nelson, Grant Myers with us, and our 2 new players for this segment. We've got the Cy Chadwick, defensive lineman, and a big offensive lineman here, Sam Stout. These guys are joining us right here. Man, I like the hair, man. You guys got it going on over here. You know, trying to grow it out like Trevor Lawrence. Not quite there yet, but you're getting there. So we do appreciate you guys being here. Coach, let's turn the page. We're going to get to RJ's question of the week, so go ahead and be teeing that up here, all right, because I know we got a good one. But let's turn the page. Obviously, a big win over Gilmer, as we talk about, more importantly, a big region win. And now you guys are into that point in the schedule where these are the games that count for its postseason. I mean, it's pretty much region the rest of the way. And another one this week against Southeast Whitfield. So talk about those guys a little bit. I know they've struggled. Winless so far on the year, but a situation where you really can't look past anyone.
They've got 2 good running backs who are also top linebackers as well. So they play both sides of the ball. Quarterback is good. They've got a good side receiver. So they've got some key components on both sides of the ball. We have to respect each opponent and really work hard against all of them, not taking them away. It'll be a tough test for us once again, and we're doing some skill plays that can hurt you on the outside and play the so we're going to have to defensively be ready to go, and offense, again, top tackle, he's one of the linebackers, he's also one of the running backs. This skilled kid, so we're going to have to have our offense clicking this week.
Absolutely. Southeast coming off of a loss to Lafayette on Friday night, 33-6. The Raiders, again, long removed, it seems like, from that playoff season just 2 years ago, as the Dragons try to make it 3 in a row with the big one on Friday night here at Dragon Stadium. Coach Myers, I want to go back to you as well. Obviously, your first time on the show. Appreciate you being here. You're looking good for someone who just had a baby. So congratulations, your wife and yourself, because I know that's always an awesome thing. But you're getting a lot of rest, man. I'm jealous because it wasn't like that.
I understand. I'm fortunate, man. Lucky man.
Exactly. But talk about one thing we like to do with some of the new coaches that our viewers may or may not have met is just kind of get their philosophy. I mean, what are some things that you preach as far as, to your players, the expectations that you guys have for your players each and every day when they show up to practice?
Well, coaching defense and everything, these guys will tell you one thing that I really harp on is consistency and execution. You can come and be consistent every day and taking the right steps, the right reads, having your eyes where they're supposed to be, using the proper alignment and technique, and then go out and execute whatever the game plan is for that specific week and that opponent. You're putting yourself in a position to go 1-0 for the week. And if you just look at where we're at right now, if we can go 1-0 for the next 5 weeks, well, then that would make us the region champs again. So it's just about being consistent and executing whatever the game plan is. You'll hear me say that, and then just play with a lot of effort, a lot of energy, fly around, have fun. Football's a hard game, but you're supposed to have fun when you do it. So if they'll do that, we'll be successful.
It seems like with this group, I mean, the one thing I've noticed is like you were saying, Coach Nelson, in the last segment is, these guys don't seem to need a lot of motivation. They seem like guys that are willing to show up every day and get better. At least that's what it seems like on the surface for folks like me. Has that kind of been the reaction you feel like from the guys that you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been getting here has been real refreshing for me. These kids, they come, they work hard, they have a good time, they enjoy being around each other, they enjoy being around their coaches. So it makes coming out there to practice every day fun. So I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. These kids are self-motivated, and then they just enjoy being out there with their teammates, with their coaches, and compete.
two guys that enjoyed definitely being out there. Cy Chadwick with us as well, and Mr. Stout down there on the end. And let's talk with you guys a little bit. Obviously, big game on Friday night. I mean, I know there's a big one coming up, but let's go back to that Gilmer game because I know it's a rivalry game. It's a fun game to be a part of. You guys come out on the winning end. You kind of feel like after a tough non-region schedule, now that we're in the region schedule, you feel like this team's kind of starting to come together and gel a little bit.
Well, I feel like we're coming together more. We haven't really put together a full game yet. Really, if you really look at it, we have times where we can go out on defense and get stopped, and then sometimes we can't do anything. And same thing for offense. But we're starting to get it together.
And it's a learning process. I mean, it's a weekly thing, so you guys seem like you're coming together. That's awesome. Sam, what about you guys up front, particularly offensive line? I mean, you're kind of there in the middle, man. It starts with you. I mean, what has been your feeling about the season so far?
Yeah, definitely a big O-line. We're coming together. Slow start to the season, but
Absolutely. Now, so how big have you got? I just got to ask you.
I'm pretty happy.
Okay, all right. I know that's a personal question. You know, I mean, I would never ask a woman that. I figured I might get away with it with a guy, but you know, I don't know. We'll try. No, but I mean, you guys are moving folks out of the way. Obviously, opening up holes for guys like Jared to run through, like we saw on Friday night. You guys are definitely coming together. I want to ask both of you guys this. I mean, what is your favorite part about playing football? Is there any one thing that jumps out about being out there on a Friday night?
Probably just the environment.
Especially here at home, I guess. Yeah, running out through the banner.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. Like, as a kid sitting in the stands watching this thing we've been about, I mean, they'll like realize you don't really realize you're doing it until it's almost over.
You guys remember like the guys that were here in high school when y'all were little kids,
Oh, yeah.
right? So it's kind of funny now that you guys are in that situation.
I
You
don't
know,
even want to think about that.
you were one of them. You know, you were
Was.
through here too as well. I mean, that's awesome that you guys are in that situation now where you have these younger guys that are out here practicing as we speak. I hear the whistles out here. They're looking up to you guys in much the same way. So that's got to be a good feeling. So that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit. Let's go now to our question of the week. I want to make sure we get this in because this is the most anticipated moment of the show each and every week. Man, is getting that RJ Casey question of the week. So how about it?
We'll go with our two players down here.
Uh-oh. Man, y'all are on the spot tonight.
Boys have stepped up in the bigger roles, side with you on defense, and Sam obviously stepping in to be seen on the O-line. How have you guys adjusted to your bigger roles coming in to be at the passing game?
You got it. I guess. I mean, last year I got to play a little bit and got used to. Fridays are a lot different than anything else. Than any daily freshman I mean, so I got to play a little bit last year and kind of got used to it, and then now I'm starting. And it's fun.
No, that's good, man. That's good, man. That's
Not
awesome.
very good.
That's awesome. You sound like you know what you're talking about. I mean, that's the main thing, you know. And as these guys over here will say, I mean, for offense, for linemen, it's not bad, right? But they're over here eating pizza. They can't even talk right now. But anyway, good question, definitely. Sam, what about you? I mean, as far as leadership role, I mean,
like Scott said, they really different. Good senior class, like with the O-line, the senior, they lead us and they tell like, I don't know what to do that. Help me.
good stuff. Big game again this week coming up against Southeast Whitfield. Coach, I want to come back to you. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit more. A team that struggled, but certainly, not a situation that you guys are going to overlook. I know you're going to preach that probably to the guys. At this point in the season, and here we are now, 3-2, 5 games in, 5 to play regular season. We're halfway through the schedule already. It's hard to believe. But as far as like a mid-season report card, I guess, if you had to break it down, what would you say about your team at this point?
I think overall, I'm kind of tough on the kids. So we've got just so much more that we can get out there. I feel like we're putting through 2 quarters out of 4. So if I was giving a grade right now, it'd be 6 at best right now because there's so much more these kids can do. We haven't tapped into it. The great news is each week when we look on film and say, okay, this is the fix that we're doing this, and when you're doing it without funk, you've reached a little bit. The thing about these kids is when you correct them, they want to get better. And so even though there's a lot of inexperience on both sides of the ball, more so on defense, these kids each week have gotten better. read keys and lean-to are much different than they are. And so kids were learning on the fly. And when you see it once a year, there's an issue. But you can see in the second half, they're starting to click or something to get the reads and say, okay, I see this now. And so the things that were hurting us in the first half, they were corrected by the second half. And so each week for them is a learning process. And when they have hit it and finally got it, it's going to be enough for the quarter together.
Right.
And I feel like it's right on.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Myers, what about your defensive unit as far as where you feel like they're at mid-season?
No, I mean, Coach Nelson just touched on it. There's times that we come out there and we look great. We look like we could be top 10 defense in the state. There's times that we really struggle. So kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, developing some consistency down this stretch of region is going to be key for us. But also, like Coach just said, at the start of the year, we had 8 kids that were starting for the first time. And now we're at the point, once you get to that mid-season mark, you're no longer the first year starter. You've had time under your belt. You've come out there, the Friday night atmosphere, the lights and all that stuff shouldn't play a factor anymore. It's about going out and playing football. So I think where we're at right now, nail on the head, it's a C. But we have so much more potential to get better and to keep moving forward. One thing that I have been really pleased with this year defensively was how many turnovers we forced. Up until the Gilmer game, we were forcing over 2 a game. That's what we were averaging. And anytime you can get the offense more touches right there, that's a good thing. That's keeping you off the field, and that's letting the offense get the 10 points on the board.
Absolutely. It sounds like a lot of positives definitely built on for this Dragon team, and you guys are right there on that for sure. And by the way, I do want to say great job by Lauren last week. In my absence, I was out of town. Lauren sat in, did a great job. I know she's a lot better to look at than I am, so again, I do apologize to all the viewers at home there, but great job, Lauren, if you're watching. I do appreciate the opportunity, of course, to work with Team FY and Sports each and every week doing this show, and we do want to thank Johnny's New York Style Pizza, of course, for being on board with us, presenting the show. And again, thank you to everyone. I do want to remind folks to follow our Team FY and Sports on Twitter on Fridays for scores, highlights. Again, we are very active on social media. Also, our YouTube channel, FYN TV, Fetch Your News playlist, Pickens Power Half Hour / Dragon Talk. Again, that's where you can find this show if you want to archive, watch it. We know not everyone can watch it live, for example, but we want to spread the word that this show's on because we know there's a lot of parents, grandparents, siblings that want to see their guys on this show, and so we do appreciate you guys spreading the word. And also want to remind folks to catch the instant replay Mondays live at 10:10 a.m. on FYNTV.com with Lauren Hunter live on the Team FYN Sports Facebook page. And also check out this guy right here on the sidelines on Friday nights because he is down there each and every week covering these Dragons as he has done for many years now. How many years have you had? You went to school here, grew up here, but how many years have you actually covered the Pickens athletics? I mean, you've been
Probably 10 off since I left
so like
10 years.
yeah, I was gonna say 10. I was thinking like 10 years. I didn't want to make you that old, man. If you weren't that old, I didn't want to insult you. But yeah, you've been at it for the better part of a decade. So again, catch RJ, and we appreciate you guys watching. Coach, in the final couple minutes that we have left, again, great season so far. I've enjoyed it. Southeast Whitfield on Friday night, and you guys get to return home here to Dragon Stadium. I know the players are lighting up over that. I know it's a lot of fun. It's always a great atmosphere. Talk about the atmosphere here from your perspective, from the coaching perspective, because one thing we talked about a couple weeks ago was, whether or not the players and you guys actually hear what's going on or whatever. And a lot of the players said, yeah, we do feel the energy. I mean, you guys as coaches, is it atmosphere that you are kind of in tune with or what?
I think once everything gets rolling, I don't, number one, as a kid, I don't hear well anyway. So I don't hear, but I can feel the energy. The student section gets after it, and even I can hear that. They get fired up. And being home is always exciting for all of us, I think. What's great about Pickens and some of the other places I've been, there's actually a community here. It's a one high school county, and everybody comes here, and I'll see people here that will say, they haven't had a kid in school, much less the program, in a decade or longer. They come out here just simply to support Pickens. And I think that's exciting. It's something you don't see everywhere, having been in schools that don't really have a channel backing miss out on that. The energy in the place is electric. It's really exciting.
A lot of local businesses step up. A lot of
Absolutely.
people are always back in the program, and that's always awesome to see. Coach Myers, I know you've come from some different places and been around. Give us a little background as far as where you've been and since arriving here.
Well, I did 8 years at Spalding High School in Griffin, Georgia, which Griffin's an unbelievable football town. A lot of great talent there, but it's different than this in terms of there was 2 schools there, so the town was very much divided about
Right.
that. Which at times that was really cool during rivalry week and whatnot, but then it is very special to know that every single car that's got a Pickens County tag on it, they support the Dragons.
Right.
You know, you go to England, everybody in there, unless they're from up the road or down the road,
Yeah.
they're supporting the Dragons. And you can see that on Friday nights, like Coach Nelson just talked about. There may be somebody that hadn't had a kid play football or in the band here in 15 years, but they're still out there on Friday night supporting these guys, and I think that's really special.
How about you guys? I know obviously from a player standpoint, family there, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of folks there supporting you guys. What do you think when you come running out in that sea of green?
It's one of the coolest things that I'm used to doing in high school. Especially.
I think we said a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to ask the same dumb questions because, they kind of looked at me and it's funny. But, there's never been a better time to be a high school football player, in my opinion, just because of how popular it is, especially being in Georgia with the 5-star recruits and the talent and all the different things that we have. So, again, look forward to seeing you guys out there on Friday, and good luck. All right, man. Again, with us here, Cy Chadwick and Sam Stout with us. Our players, Coach Grant Myers, again, with us right here, defensive coordinator, Coach head coach Jeff Nelson with us as always each and every week, and my co-host RJ Case. You got anything left for these guys before we get out of here?
It's homecoming week, so
There we go.
we got another reason to be fired up. Be back home. Homecoming week, another big weekend game. So get after it.
Get after it. There we go. Awesome. Dragons again Friday night against Southeast Whitfield. Come on out and check out the Dragons. That's going to wrap things up for our Pickens Power half-hour Dragon Talk. Once again, thanks to Johnny's New York-style pizza here in Jasper. And remember, again, Team FYN Sports always highlighting and promoting young athletes in a positive way right here. And we appreciate you guys being with us. We'll see you next week.